by the way, just before I could start. So I think our most vicious plan was to let people not use the mouse. We disabled mouse clicking because we wanted to enforce them to enter the retro-style command line, like in the old text adventures. I also didn't want to fall back on ready-made software like StorySpace. We wanted to create an accessible and expandable interface for playing and writing those text adventures. But of course, we also had to include some gaming aspects like help and save function, a cool intro, rules and riddles, and some nifty special effects. So basically, to create a game like this, first what you do is you do some game design, the overall game design to decide what colors you want. You have to design which structure, if you wanted to have linear structure or non-linear, and of course the genre, if you want to do a text adventure or ego shooter, very important. Also you have to decide which authoring software you're going to use, either if it's Inform or program like Director, about the interface and programming language. All these things were for us decided simply because, I had the programmer Jens, who was a lingo specialist, so we chose Director. Also you have to choose your content design, which just means that you have to think what you want to do with your elements, your pictures or your text. You can, as you know, you can either write things down, you can illustrate them, let people hear them or interact with them, or just simply riddle them about in animations and stuff. For me, basically my job first, because there was a novel before, I had to reduce the story to transform it back down to its basic elements. That means mainly the main characters. You have to include things like red herrings or actions, rooms and places. And it's very important to think action-centered, to think what can the characters do, actually. You have to put out those scenes, and you have to think, or it's best to think in spaces, rooms. You have to attach the actions to the rooms, which make it, this is what was going to make it more playable. Because actually this is more important to follow a straight chronology, you know, from the story, conventionally written. Finally, if you have written down those elements, you have to design a new network or hypertext from them. And to do this, you can either lie out your index cards on your floor, you all know this method, or you can use the mind mapping software, which is what we did, or I did. And this is a screenshot from the program I used. It was called Inspiration. And as you can see, this is quite twisted, actually. Don't try this at home. I also have to...
If I may intervene, for my writing experience of the interactive fiction I did, I just filled 2 Moleskine notebooks with random notes about everything, and I never thought that it would be that complex to write a story like that.
Yeah, that was also because I also wanted to do some, I'll come back to this later to tell you the difference between, there's a bit difference between text adventure and hyper-fictional novels or text, where you're driving the non-linear structure to the extreme, one can say. And also, I wrote down the novel in my Moleskine before. So actually this part was a lot of fun to do, but also because I could fall back on the novel, which had been finished before, so I knew the story. It was nothing new to me. If you don't know your story before, well, that's a bit of a problem. And now I'm going to show you some of the basic concepts of Director. You have what I think is a very nice metaphor language of a program. They talk about a stage, main stage, a score, which is like a screenplay, and you have cast members, text members. You can, as they say, drag on stage whenever you want to. You have sprites, which are instances of those members when you draw them or drag them on the stage. And you can perhaps imagine that for me as a writer, this concept of dragging fictional characters and spirits or sprites on stage, yeah, I fell in love with this program completely at first. Of course, as I said, the scripting language we used was Lingo, and the player you need to play this game is Shockwave. And here's an example of one TextCast configuration member, one of 431 members I wrote. This was basically my job, to write down, yeah, you see the text, and also to write in the comments field, you see in the red center. There I gave the syntax for the program to work, to change rooms. The syntax was actually quite easy. First you have a room, then you have a verb, then you have a keyword, and then you have a minus or plus. A minus always indicating that a verb is mandatory, which means that you have to use the verb. Which means you have to say, look at GeekSpace or look at book or something. You can't. The other possibility would be just to type down a special keyword for this. So, and here's just one scroll view. This was the sort of screenplay where you can see all the action elements appeared from at the time they were actually called for, sort of. So now I'm going to show you some short game demo. Or demo. Okay, while the intro is starting now, I'm going to tell you something about the story. You start off as the novel's main character, called Nadine, and your aim. I have to show you some more. And of course, you start off in a room full of dark monitors, and your aim is to win a woman's heart and to keep it, and to improve your Kahuna powers. To boost your Kahuna powers, sort of. So I'm going to start the game. So this is what you see. This is a text. You see this is very text-centered. And you see all the things, what we called keywords, the things with which you can do something, are highlighted in yellow, which was a sort of compromise to make it more easily playable for people like, who don't know adventure games from their heart, people like book critics or something. But you can also simply, I also introduced another dimension. You can jump on the astral plane and go tripping. So here you see all the different rooms, and you can also have a look at them on a map. And so this game has basically two levels. You can either choose to simply play or try to play the story, doing all the riddles and stuff, and find your way through it, or you can jump from using the astral plane, you can jump from room to room and simply explore the world of this novel. Oops. That's not mine. No. Okay. Start again. One step too much back. Okay. So now we're entering deep space. The because I want to show you some of those cool special effects I promised. As you can see from the text, that Arthur is proud to own a G4 and Athlon PC. You can see that this game was written in 2001. It's not very new anymore. So now, just type reanimation. We also included some cheats to make it more testable for us as developers, so that we could easily jump from place to place, and also for presentations to be able to show the effects like the one I'm going to show now. The story at this part is that Nadine, the main character, has just been found dead in a bathtub by Arthur and Ari, or they think it's Nadine, and they try to reanimate the body. And they think it's her. Yes. Oops. You see, it's things like this, why we wanted to use the programming language like Lingo. You could do a lot more with this, but we just had 6 months for the development of this whole game, so you can do whatever you want with this program. So let's do the visual. And another thing I wanted to have, what was a good idea, was you can type in whatever you want, and the screen will do, or words will appear, which you can't influence really. This is a very nice feeling when you're sitting in front of a computer, I guess. Okay, we say yes, of course. And once more, I type whatever I want. Yeah, and of course, this is not a very nice experience, so it's natural what you do. And finally, but we'll end this presentation of a game with some romantic bits. So we go to the beach. And of course, what we do is we kiss Ari. And now look closely at the heart. Follow the heart. Yeah, isn't that nice? Yeah, see, this was something you couldn't do with Inform back then. I don't know if Jens this hasn't changed, I think, but anyway, we wanted to include some graphic stuff, so this is, yeah, personal taste. Okay, I have to get back. So, and now to some secret details I'm going to tell only tonight, sort of. Yeah, as you can guess, commercially speaking, this game had been a disaster, but we didn't do it for the money, obviously. Jens Halm and we developed it for 6 months, and I enjoyed writing it. It was a lot of fun. Also, I saw it as a bonus for my readers, but when the book came out, I was very shocked to find out that the traditional literature scene did not only ignore the game, but also seemed to find me suddenly rather suspicious, just because what I had done, like, it was all too much. If they wouldn't trust me anymore. It was like, if she's doing computer stuff like this, she can't write normal books. We don't trust her. So suddenly I found myself dumped into a computer nerd's corner. Well, didn't mind that, but well, while the net literature community, actually, they were very nice and cool people. I really enjoyed hanging around with them. at conferences, at festivals, even if we got mostly seated